Yes, what's happening, people? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A little bit of a later show this morning. I had some problems with my computer. I don't know what's been going on. However, we're here, we're live, and good morning to every single one of you that is in the chat room. Make sure you do me a favor and hitting the like button and subscribe. We've over 30k now. Thank you all so much for getting to the 30k. Well, let's not stop there, people. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, which is free, and we'll get to 40 very, very quickly. So please make sure that we get there. That's the next target, the big 40. It would be good to get to 35 really soon in the next couple of months, but it would be the next target, of course, which is the big 40. Make sure you check out last night's show. Really good Arsenal therapy last night on the Arsenal Roundabout. Big up to every single one of the panelists that showed their face to have a chat about the Arsenal and things that are going on at the moment. So if you do want an Arsenal dedicated show, the Arsenal Roundabout is where you need to be. And that is, of course, the latest news on Arsenal. And that's the latest show that we've done. Let's do our sponsors first of all, which, of course, is Reality Raffles. If you're not following them, please make sure that you are on Instagram or on social media. Reality Raffles have an unbelievable opportunity. If you do want to get in for this raffle ticket prize, which is just 99 pence per raffle ticket, I mean, I'll be chucking 5 or 6 in. That's what I've been trying to do, so I can get some more games as well, because it's a match of your choice, and it's £500 worth of a match day experience of your choice. It could be any stadium that you wish. So if people say to me, how do I get to the Emirates, Dan? Well, this is an unbelievable opportunity for you too. Please go to Reality Raffle, because they have brilliant music concerts and gigs as well as football. For this prize specifically, there's instant wins as well for match day vouchers, and you can get website credits for them as well. So you can actually have website credits that you can add to a raffle choice or raffle ticket of your choice, should I say. So please make sure you're following Reality Raffles. The link is in the description. Click on the link either in the pinned comment section here live or in the comment section or description at the end, and go and take a look and get into the draw. If you haven't done so already, please scan the QR code to attend our Hippodrome live event, which is on the 24th of January. And if you do struggle with the QR code, as some people do nowadays, I understand that, or you're not tech savvy, then you can click on the link in the description. It will take you straight to the Eventbrite where you can sign up, and we will see you there. Hopefully we'll see as many as you can live. It would be great to get you guys to meet you guys in person, and there'll be a meet and a greet. There'll be some special guests. There'll be other influencers that you're aware of. All of our This is London panel, Sophie Nicolau from Highbury Squad, Lee Judges as well, and there'll be many more people, I am sure, that will be there on the night too. So please make sure you come and say hello, meet and greet, and it'll be a really good show. So please make sure that you, if you're not signed up, have done that already. I know there's a few of you that are, because it buzzes every time it goes off. So big up to everyone that is attending so far. And if you haven't and you aren't aware of it, then let's do it. Make sure you click on the link in the Eventbrite section, and we'll see you there. Transfer news show. Look, every transfer morning show I try to bring the current news, and there's quite a lot this morning, but it doesn't involve as much Arsenal. We're going to wait to Arsenal. There's a couple of bits of news for Arsenal we do need to discuss. There's quite a lot of Man United, quite a lot of Manchester City this morning. Unfortunately, we are now, what's the date today? It is currently 9 days into the window, and nothing is happening as far as Arsenal are concerned. Rather worrying, really, when we are so desperate for some attackers, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's start, however, with the news that Amad Diallo looks to have signed a new contract. The Ivory Coast winger, who's only 22 years old, by the way, according to ESPN, has agreed terms on a new contract with Manchester United. Now, I have absolutely no idea how much he's going to be on, but I imagine he was probably on about 20 or 30k a week. And I can imagine now that he's probably on nearer 150 a week. Look, it's a massive jump, but it's probably one of their best players. Manchester United need to try and build a team around players like Amad Diallo, in my opinion, because I believe that he's one of their brightest sparks, and I think he's one of their best players right now, which really does say a lot about how far Manchester United have fallen. But this is really good news. If you are a Manchester United fan, Amad Diallo's contract did run out in the summer, so he actually can, at the moment, I believe, talk to new clubs. But it looks like he's got his heart set on staying at Manchester United. Ruben Amorim clearly sees him as someone that he can build the team around and wants him to be a part of his new project. So let's see what happens with Amad Diallo and when that could be announced. But it sounds as if he is staying at Manchester United. There's also rumours that both Garnacho and Kobe Mino are also going to be signing new contracts at Manchester United also. Despite concerns about breaching profit and sustainability rules, the England midfielder Mbuemo, who's only 19, and the Argentinian winger Garnacho, who's only 20, both still have a future at Manchester United. And there are serious concerns about a few players walking out the door at Manchester United, which is not good at the start of a new phase or project or regime under Ruben Amorim. You'd like to think that they're all on the boat, as Mikel Arteta used to call it, and that they're all happy. But at Manchester United, as much as it's a massive club, they really haven't been stable for the best part of the last decade since Sir Alex Ferguson's walked out. So, look, some youngsters that I think they should look to build the squad around, particularly Diallo and Mainu. I think Garnacho could have a place in the squad for sure, but I'm not too sure that he's hyped up, all he's hyped up to be. But this player is one they're looking at, and I'm a big fan. I've got to be real. I'm a big, big fan and always have been. Even when he was over in Portugal, I was a big fan of Nuno Mendes. And Manchester United are looking to make a sale to finance a 60 million euros, which is £50 million move for Portugal and PSG defender Nuno Mendes. He's only 22 years old. I really liked him when he was at Sporting. I thought it would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. And I think, if I'm honest, it probably still would be. I don't know about this left back position with you guys, but I feel like there's problems at Arsenal still at the left back situation. I'm not sure that Calafiori is the guy that I want there all the time. I'm not a fan of Zinchenko. I've not been a fan of Kivior. Kieran Tierney wants out the door. Timber's more of a right back for me, but can cover at left back. Tomiyasu is never fit. So there's still problems at left back. And I think Nuno Mendes is one of those guys that could be really, really vital and pivotal to how Ruben Amorim wants to play. He can play more as a wing back. I would say he's actually more of an attacking left back than he is a defensive left back. So I think it would be perfect for the wing back role and the new system that Ruben Amorim wants to try and implement at Manchester United. And I do feel like if Manchester United are serious about their next couple of moves, they're going to have to look at wing backs, because there's only really Mazraoui and Luke Shaw that can actually play that role fairly comfortably. And Luke Shaw's always injured. You've got Malacia, who looks like he could be out the door. You've also got Diallo, who I think can play on both, but is more of a cover player if you look at how good Mazraoui's been. I think if they was to get Mazraoui and Nuno Mendes into this fullback role or / wing-back role, then actually their system could start to blossom. So I think that's what they need to be doing personally. Sticking with Manchester United, yes, Anthony. Looks as if he is probably going to be on the way out. I don't quite know where, though. The Brazilian Anthony, believe it or not, guys, he's only 24 years old. He's rejected the chance to join Olympiacos, but he still wants to leave Manchester United. I believe there's some offers. I think Betis were interested. There was also, as well as Spanish clubs, Greek clubs as well, that were looking at Anthony. I think he just needs to go and find a new challenge. It's clearly not working for him at Manchester United. I don't think he's playing a new system in Amorim's system. I don't think he's a player that can suit a wing-back role. I don't think he's a player that suits a wide man role. I think he's tried under Ten Hag and probably has under Amorim in training, and they've decided it's best that they part ways and he leaves. And I think it's best as well. I've just never been a fan of him. I don't really think he's going to go down at any form of decent signing for Manchester United. And if I'm honest with you guys, I actually think he could go down as one of the biggest flops in Premier League history. You know, we're putting him up there with the signing of Kepa and the re-signing of Lukaku, and we've got to put him up there with Nicolas Pepe, and we've got to put him up with those kind of signings, because for me, it's a hell of a lot of money. You know, 80 to 90 million pounds, I think it could rise to. And he's been an absolute flop at Man United. So, yeah, definitely not a player that Manchester United all speak very highly about or think very highly of when you look at the wingers they've had. Talking of wingers, Marcus Rashford. Now, apparently, Man United are aware the reps of English forward Marcus Rashford in talks with AC Milan. That's come from Sky Sports News. Now, there were reports the day before that Borussia Dortmund were interested, and I don't know what it is about Borussia Dortmund, but it just feels like a good fit for Marcus Rashford. Not just because of what Jadon Sancho and Jude Bellingham have done over there, but they just seem to look after you. And Dortmund's a really nice club. It's my favourite German club by far. I absolutely love Borussia Dortmund, and I've always wanted to go there. Sea of yellow and the yellow wall, it just looks unbelievable. Whenever they come to the Emirates, I'm a big, big fan as well. But look, Marcus Rashford is going to leave Manchester United. I've got no doubt about it. I don't think there's any denying the fact that he's not wanted at the club anymore. He's been kind of told that he needs to train separately at the moment due to his illness until he gets better. But I think, if I'm honest with you, it's probably not that he's got a cold or flu. It's probably that mentally he wants to try and get his head set on his next move. And I think he's made it very, very clear, Amorim, that he is not in plans of Ruben Amorim's new system. And Marcus Rashford, I think, and I'm not being horrible when I say this, I honestly believe is one of the most overrated players that the Premier League's had. I think he's a good player, but I don't look at him in the history of others and the way that he gets all this money and gets all this hype and all this love. When he burst onto the scene at Manchester United at 17, 18, scored a couple of goals against Arsenal, I thought, yeah, he looks like a talent, don't he? Was scoring for England, was playing well for England, was playing well for Manchester United. And I thought, for a young kid, he's got the world at his feet. And I don't think he's got to anywhere near the levels that people expected him to. And I do think that's mentally something wrong there with his mentality. I think he's not got that elite mentality, you know. It's never really gone to that next level for me. So I personally feel like there could be a new challenge on the horizon for Marcus Rashford, and one that's needed, if I'm honest with you. I really do think that. Let's move to Manchester City, because this is a player that they do like and have had on their books for a few years, James McAtee. And there are German clubs, Bayer Leverkusen, Leipzig, Mainz, Dortmund and Stuttgart, that are all chasing Manchester City's England under-21 midfielder, James McAtee. He is only 22 years old. He's not actually as young as I thought, because normally when you come through the system at Manchester City, you're not getting into their first team. You're 17, 18 or 19. This guy's actually 22 years old. He needs to be playing first team football now, if I'm honest. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's done very, very well. Crystal Palace were looking at him, I believe, and a couple of other Premier League clubs. I think Fulham were interested. James McAtee would be a good signing for an English Premier League club, in my opinion. If he did go over to Germany, I'm sure he'd do well. But I think he's got enough clubs that would be interested for him to stay in England and actually have a shot at trying to get into the senior team, because I think he's got some ability. I really do quite like what I've seen from him in the early stages. So it could be one player that's off. One player that could be coming in for Manchester City is Omar Marmoush. It looks as if £50 million deal could be available in the summer, they're talking about. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen in January or if it is going to stay here and then they'll listen again in January, in the summer. It sounds to me as if Frankfurt don't want to sell him. He's been so good for them. His stats have been phenomenal. Over 20 goals and assists in just, I think, 15 to 17 games. He's been phenomenal. And he's played most of his career as a striker, but he can play wide right and left as well, I believe. And I must say, I think he'd be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. I really do. I think the numbers have said that he's going to be a top talent. I think he's been proven to be scoring goals over there in Germany. Manchester City are said to have him as a starter. Now, I know that he can play wide left, and a lot of people are saying that Doku isn't the guy and Grealish is wanted out, and I think they do need another left winger. I think Savio is definitely one that you'd look at. They've got Marmoush as well. You could actually play Marmoush wide, Savio wide, but either side of Haaland, and then have Foden in between. They're starting to look a bit better. And I've said this about Manchester City. If they was to get that attacker, that defensive midfielder, and a defender, I think they could have a little bit of, what do they call it? Bounce back ability. There we go. Love that word. Love that word. Big up to Ian Dowie, who introduced that to football, by the way. Nottingham Forest fans, Ola Aina is wanted by Manchester City. He is the next guy. That picture is really bad, by the way. Yeah, they want him. Manchester City are considering a move for Nottingham Forest and Nigerian fullback Ola Aina. Now, he's 28 years old, by the way. He was at Chelsea, I believe, as a youngster. And I think he was at Fulham for a bit. He's been phenomenal for Forest. But listen, haven't they all? Haven't they all? How good is Ola Aina? I've got to be honest. I've been impressed. But I was also impressed with Nuno and Wolves with Matt Doherty. And sometimes system players are perfect. And I think that's what Ola is. I'm not going to say he's a bad player. I'm not going to say he's a bad fullback. He's in my FPL team and he's absolutely smashing it. Forest fans will tell you how good he is. And I don't watch him weekly. Would he be able to get to the Manchester City team right now? Yes, because Kyle Walker is done. He's dusted. They've got to get rid of him. They've got to upgrade on him. Yeah. Kyle Walker is not the player he used to be. I'm not saying he's lost his pace, because that's probably one of the only things he has. But I think he's lost quite a lot of everything else. His positioning is a little bit all over the place. He keeps getting caught out. I think it's time for Kyle Walker to leave Manchester City, if I'm honest. And maybe it's Ola Aina that they want. And don't you think it's mad that Manchester City have had all these players, yeah, that are now playing for Premier League sides at a top level? Right backs, for example, Pedro Porro. You look at the centre-back situation. They've got the Southampton centre-back that's just got into the England squad. He was a Manchester City player. In midfield, Lavia, Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer, Jadon Sancho, Liam Delap, and there are others as well that have come through. I just think, wow, who was not checking their academy their academy needs to be looked at, I think, and somebody needs to be put in charge of who do you think will make it here? Because you can't have 5 or 6 players that walk out of City and all waltz into the teams around them, and then they're crying out for those positions because they'll be crying out. Lavia and Rogers walk into their midfield right now. Cole Palmer walks into their team right now. Yeah, Pedro Porro plays for them at right back. Harbour Bellis would have been good for them this season, to be fair, because they needed centre backs. Liam Delap would be a perfect cover for Haaland. It's scary. It really is mad that they've let all them players go and they've been so good. So yeah, bizarre. Really doesn't make much sense to me. But there we go. Okay, let's go to the next player that they are linked with, and it is Khusanov, who I've been very impressed with from what I hear. They are very much interested in signing Khusanov in a £30 million deal with Lens. They're in advanced talks to sign the Uzbekistan centre-back. He's 20 years old. He's been very, very impressive over in Ligue 1. And I think Lens are very, very adamant to try and keep him. But Manchester City want him. And for £30 million, Manchester City will probably get him. And this is what Arsenal need to start doing. Because Manchester City are stacked with centre-backs. Now, yeah, there's a few of them that are injured. Arsenal was stacked with defenders, but we found that majority of ours are injured. But they're going and doing something about it. Now, they've got Akanji, they've got Diaz, they've got Walker, they've got Lewis, they've got Vardiel, they've got Stones. They're quite stacked. Arsenal are quite stacked, but because Manchester City and Arsenal have got problems with injuries, we need to dip into the market again, it seems. Now, I don't really think that Manchester City and Arsenal are similar in terms of what they've got, because Manchester City have pretty much got all centre-backs other than Walker and Lewis that play fullback. Arsenal got a little bit of a mix of a mix. We've got centre-backs that can cover there, like Tomiyasu when he's fit, Timber, we've got Kivior, but really, we don't have many fullbacks that are fit and able. Now, what I mean by that is Ben White and Timber, yeah, we've seen that both have injury problems. Left backs, Tomiyasu and Tierney and Zinchenko and Calafiori have injury problems. So I think Arsenal and City are a little bit similar in terms of they've got quite a few players on their books in those positions, but unfortunately, they haven't actually got any that are fit and ready to play at the moment, it seems. So very interesting. Another centre-back rumour for Manchester City is a player that Arsenal have been linked with. It's the 18-year-old from Palmeiras over in Brazil, Vitor Reis. He's a highly rated centre-back and one that a lot of teams were looking at and circling. I know Real Madrid were looking at him as well. Arsenal were looking at him as well for summer moves. I don't know if this is something that they can actually announce in January and get done in the summer, or if it's a player they can bring in January. I've not looked far into that to know, but he is available. Well, everyone is from Brazil. Let's be real. Everyone's going to want a new challenge. Manchester City come calling. They're going to say yes to that. So Vitor Reis looks like he could be coming on his way to Manchester City. And I think that's a good signing. When you look at the players that are actually, the teams and clubs that are actually linked with him, you would like to think that he is going to be in the next mould of a Saliba or a Konate or a Lenny Yoro. He is wanted by quite a few clubs, and Manchester City get him. I'm quite excited by what that might look like for them if I was a Manchester City fan, because I hear very, very good things about him. But we have had centre-backs that have come from Brazil that haven't been phenomenal, but we've also had centre-backs that have come from Brazil that have gone on to win World Cups, like Lucio and these guys. So let's see what happens there. Let's talk about this player, shall we? Because this was one of the most bizarre signings of the summer window, in my opinion. And of course, we are talking about Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. He's 26 years old. He was signed from Leicester. And Chelsea bought him for £30 million because Enzo Maresca liked him at Leicester. And he's hardly kicked a ball. I mean, he's played in that Conference League, but that is about as far as it goes. West Ham are interested in a loan deal, and they could push for a loan deal with Chelsea this window. It looks as if Chelsea have made quite a few of their players available. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is one of them. I believe Chukwuemeka is available. Ben Chilwell, I think, is available. And Kunku is available as well. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall might do quite well at somewhere like West Ham. And West Ham have got that kind of midfield position available to him, in my opinion. I can see some of the players I like there. I think Souček's done a good job at West Ham. He's not for me. I think that Carlos Soler looks quite comfortable on the football. Obviously, Alvarez is a good player. I'm not sure about Dominguez. I'm not sure about, not Dominguez, what's his name? Rodriguez, sorry. Dominguez is this Forest lad. Rodriguez, I'm not sure about him. Paqueta, we don't know what's happening with him, but mentally it doesn't quite look right this season. There's something not quite right about his game. So maybe it would be a good signing for West Ham. I think it's about his level. I think he would do well there. I think he'd get a chance there. And I'm actually a fan of him. I thought he played really well at Leicester. In both the Premier League and in the Championship. So I'm surprised that Chelsea have not tried to give him more game time. But when you've got a midfield of Lavia, Caicedo and Palmer, I don't really see where you get in it when you've got Enzo Fernandez as your backup. So I think it's time for him to get a new kind of move, if I'm honest with you. So see what happens there. Chelsea have actually got stacked players. They have. So they need to look at how many they can keep and who they want to get rid of. So it does not surprise me to hear that. There's also rumours that Graham Potter will be the next West Ham manager. What do we think of that? Do we think that's a good move? I actually do. I think it works. I think it fits. I think his football's quite good to watch. I think also, although his win record, when you look at it, is not fantastic. At Brighton, it was only about 38%. I think at Swansea, it was about 31%. And at Ostersund's, it was somewhere between 50 and 60% because he did so well there. At Chelsea, it was down in the 30s to 35 win percent ratio. So really, top manager, but when you look at the win percent records, not great. But then you've got to look at the clubs, Swansea, Brighton, Ostersund. So let's be real. Chelsea, he just walked in there to an absolute mess. It really wasn't great. And I don't think it was fair. And I think of all the managers, it's probably him I feel the most sorry for, actually. More than Lampard, more than Poch, more than Tuchel, and of course more now than Maresca. So, yeah, I think he's a good manager. I don't think the Chelsea job can be looked at as what he might do. And I think he'll do well at West Ham. And I hope he does, I give Lawless a lot of stick at West Ham, and I don't particularly like or love West Ham, but they're a team that should be doing well. They're a team that should be. They've had a lot of money spent on them. They've got a stadium there, a fan base there. They've just won a trophy in European Cup. So let's see if they can get moving forward, because I had them floating around 8th or 9th again this season. And at the moment, they're not getting anywhere near that. So they need to start moving forwards, in my opinion. Tim Steinton, there's rumours that he might be on his way out now that Lopetegui and all of the coaching staff has gone. I don't know that I agree with that, to be fair. I find that very, very odd. I don't think he was attached to Lopetegui in any way. I think it's a Sullivan and Steinton thing. And there needs to be a kind of next... an understanding of what Potter and Tim Steinton could do together, in my opinion, because I think Tim Steinton's a good director of football. So let's see what happens with West Ham. Let's move next to this player, because Jamie Gittins is on his way, we believe, to Aston Villa. Villa are tracking Dortmund's English winger, Jamie Jermaine Gittins, and it's Bino Gittins, I think. He's 20 years old. He's looking very good. He plays more as a wide player. And what's interesting is that Philogene has left Aston Villa and has gone to Ipswich Town. I believe it's for £20 million. And I do think that's a really good signing. And I love what Kieran McKenna is doing there in terms of the player personnel, this recruitment, and the way that he's bringing these players in that he all clearly knew from his under-18s coaching days. I think when you look at Amari Hutchinson, you look at Liam Delap, you look at Leif Davis, you look at Tuan Zabi, Jacob Greaves, all these guys they've brought in. You think, do you know what? They're all in that similar mold, that similar age. And I just like what they're doing there. I just like what he's doing. I like what he's building. And I have to say, I'm not being biased here because I do like Ipswich. They're only across the border to me. If I had to chuck my money right now on a team to stay up that people might not believe, I would go with Ipswich. I would. Because they've had some really good draws. They played some really good games. They've been really unlucky. And when you're losing games in the last minute, and when you're throwing away a penalty in the last minute or whatever it be, it means you ain't far off. When you're getting tanked like Southampton are, when you can't quite get consistency like Leicester, I don't really give you any hope. But I just give Ipswich a little bit of glimmer of hope, because I've seen what Everton and Wolves are, and it wouldn't impress me if I'm Ipswich. I wouldn't be looking up at them going, no chance in catching them. I don't think Palace or West Ham or any of the others are going to get down into the dumps like that. Manchester United and Spurs are nowhere near relegation in my eyes. So I look at what Leicester, Southampton and Ipswich are doing, and that comparison to Everton and Wolves, there's not a huge gap, in my opinion, between what Ipswich is doing and what Wolves and Everton are. So, look, I always say that Everton will stay up because of Sean Dyche. I just think the way he plays football is going to get points here and there. I think Wolves have got too much quality to go down, so it probably will be Ipswich. But if I had to throw it on one team, it would be Ipswich Town to stay up. And I really hope they do. I really hope they do. Let's move to Palace. They've got Eze, and now they're looking at Essa. I don't know if I've pronounced that right. Romain Essa is a English winger, 19-year-old for Millwall, and Palace have made contact with Millwall about the possibility of signing him. Now, the Championship has definitely got some unbelievable players that's coming through it. We're definitely trying to blood more quality in the Championship, and it's definitely raised its level over the years. And the Dougie Friedman scout at Palace has been fantastic, and he's managed to scout the majority of it. Elise from Reading, Eze from QPR, he's got Adam Wharton from Blackburn, and now he's looking at getting Essa from Millwall. He looks very talented, by the way. I was watching Saturday Social the other day and they were raving about him in the Championship, saying how fantastic he looks. And it could be the next Eze and Elise. Adam Wharton as well. They've all come from the Championship. And if you think about it, over the years, there's actually been players that have come in from the Championship that have done very well. You look at the likes of Jack Grealish, for example, who come from Aston Villa, who are in the Championship. There's been other players that have come from the Championship, like Semenyo over at Bristol City, who's doing very well now at Bournemouth. What a signing he was. You know, these are players that have come through from the Championship that are now actually being talked about as going to the next level at one of the elite clubs. So this could be an interesting signing. And I like what Palace do with their scouting. I like what they've done with their recruitment. Mark Gehi, Tariq Mitchell, Anderson. I like Daniel Munwa. I think he's a fantastic right back. I look at what they've done with Mateta. And I was saying this just yesterday. I've been really impressed with Palace's recruitment. I just don't know what's happening over there at the moment. I really don't. Let's move to Arsenal because there are some rumours, and apparently Arsenal are all over Bryan Mbuemo. It looks as if Arsenal are interested in making this guy our signing. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a summer move or a January move, but according to Florian Plettenberg, it's a summer transfer. Brentford and Cameroon striker Mbuemo, who's only 25 years old, is on Arsenal's shortlist for a summer transfer. Now, he is back up to Bukayo Saka. He's definitely more of a right-sided winger than he is a striker or left-sided forward, but I think he can play across the front three from what I believe from his Brentford time. But I've been a big, big fan. I think he's been excellent for Brentford, not just for this season, but also for the last couple. When I look at what Thomas Frank has done, he's a well-drilled manager. He's got that team drilled. They understand what we're looking at. And Bryan Mbuemo, I think, would be perfect cover for Bukayo Saka. He's definitely going to be an upgrade on Raheem Sterling. He's scoring goals left, right, and centre at the moment. I'm a big, big fan, and I just like his mentality. I think he could go to that next level. I think he could take a step up. And hopefully, Arsenal was serious about this one. I really hope and pray that we are. Because I think that the perfect cover for Saka is somebody like that. Somebody who would be available, somebody who is realistic. Brentford would be looking at selling him because it's not a player that they absolutely need to keep hold of. Otherwise, they're going to fold. They probably replace him. They've managed to do all right without Ivan Toney, and he was their best player. Bryan Mbuemo would be a fantastic signing, in my opinion, for backup for Saka. He really would. I think he'd be superb. A lot of the chat are agreeing with that as well. Before we go on to the next rumours of Arsenal, let's bring in these super chats. Lawrence, big up to you, mate. I really appreciate the super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. He says, Arteta is so desperate to prove how good a manager he is by stating number of community shields he's won. I'm surprised he never mentioned the pre-season Emirates Cup wins. Would put him on par with Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, I don't really understand why he goes into press conferences and embarrasses himself sometimes, because that was embarrassing. This one comes in from Suge, who says, come on, people, hit the like and subscribe. I saw a rumor Zinchenko. I saw a rumor about Zinchenko. I'd literally fly over and drive him to the airport. Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Big up to Suge. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. It's well over 600 of you in here. And at the moment, we don't have enough likes. We've only got 125. That's terrible. Let's get up to 350 people. You've got to do is hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. 2 buttons that are free. Like, subscribe. Job done. Big up to everyone. Let's talk about it, shall we? Because apparently Zinchenko could be on his way out. And if I'm honest with you, I'm happy with that. Inter Milan are preparing a bid for the 28-year-old Ukrainian defender, Zinchenko. I don't know how much that bid's going to be. But if I'm honest with you, if it's anything between 18 and 25 million, I'm accepting it. I think it would be very, very hard to get anywhere near that. I think he's probably a 15 million pound player, if I'm honest with you. We know what he is. He's very comfortable on the ball. Definitely can invert. Definitely can play left 8 from what I understand from Ukraine. But he is no defender. Let me tell you that. He's a player that I think did really well when he first came in at Arsenal. I thought he was pivotal to how we were playing. And when it worked and the opposition had no answer, Zinchenko's what you need. But once they work you out and they realise that actually if you get in behind, play that diagonal ball over his head, he ain't catching up. And that's why he cannot play at left back anymore for me. So let's see what happens there. A lot of people are suggesting it would be a good move. Some of the people in the chat are saying, yeah, that sounds about right. Look, I don't know why Inter Milan would want him. They seem like a very, very well-drilled, defence-minded team. Simone Inzaghi is very well coached, very well drilled, and they have a brilliant defence. That is not something that I can see taking them forward. But what it could do, in my opinion, is actually allow them to have either strength in depth, or it could allow them to actually look at playing him in midfield as a left eight. Not that I believe they need one, because Barella's one of the best. It probably is the best left eight in the world, in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal player. But maybe that's what they're looking at. But it sounds as if they're interested. However, people, I don't want to take the mick out of resources. This has come from the Sun. So let's see how reliable that one is. Okay, the next bit of news. Where are we? Computer stop now. Here we go. The next bit of news is Nico Williams. Now, Arsenal 100% are interested. Then go and pay it. Yeah, go and pay it. Please go and pay it. If that's who you want, right? I'm not a massive lover, if I'm honest. I think he lit up the Euros, but I haven't seen him since. If you're a massive lover, then go and get it done. Yeah, because John Cross is saying that Arteta's made Williams his number one target to strengthen his squad, although it's far from certain the player would want to leave this month. Even a summer move could be complicated by the fact that Williams' wage demands are in excess of £300,000 a week. That means that he'd be the highest paid player at the club, and that is a risk. When you're a young kid at 2021 like he is, and he's playing on the left-hand side, and he's not doing much for Athletic Club, but you bring him in with his release clause of £49 million and pay him 300k a week. People like Saka, Saliba, Erdegaard, even Havertz, who's just signed one on 280 or 290, will be thinking, crikey, well, we all know what we're demanding next time we want a new deal. Before you know it, everyone's on 300,000. So you have got to be careful. But at the end of the day, we want to be that club, don't we? And that's what you have to do sometimes. I'm a fan of Nico Williams. I like him, and I thought he was excellent in the Euros. I think he would suit what we need on that left-hand side. Mikel Arteta is clearly obsessed with him, and he's been wanting a left winger for quite some time now. And I just think that if we do want him, I think it's a summer move. I don't think it's going to happen in January, but I could be wrong. Leandro Trossard. Well, there's rumours suggesting that he's been offered a new contract at Arsenal, and he's rejected it. I don't know what's happening here. I think there's something going on with Leandro Trossard. He doesn't look happy at the moment. He doesn't look like a player who is enjoying his football. Contract talks between Trossard and Arsenal have broken down after the Belgian has rejected their offer. He's out of contract next summer, I believe. So he's a player that needs to look at an extension, or we need to look at letting him go. Saudi clubs have been interested actually in Trossard before. I just wonder if he's at that age where he feels like there's one last move, and potentially he could be going out. I'm a fan of Trossard. I like him. I think he's an impact player. If he wants out, we've got to let him go. I think he wants first team football. I don't think he's looked happy for a while, if I'm honest with you. And it would explain the drop in form. He's not high of confidence. Doesn't seem to be playing well himself. He doesn't look happy when he's playing football. I just think maybe it's his last season at Arsenal. Maybe we do keep Martinelli and we get rid of Trossard. Maybe we do keep Havertz and we get rid of Jesus. Maybe that's what happens. And then we obviously keep Saka and get rid of Sterling. And if you're going to bring in Bryan and Mbuemo, Nico Williams, and that striker in the summer, I think those three signings would be phenomenal to add on to Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli. That's what I would like to do. So interesting to see your thoughts on that, guys. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other transfer rumours, because apparently Arsenal, from suggestions, Dimarzio says Arsenal are going to try to get Isak or Osimhen in the summer. I don't think Newcastle will let Isak go now in January. He's difficult to replace. Vlahovic is an option and target as well for Arsenal. They like him, and he's also on the list. So that means that Osimhen, who has a release clause right now, is potentially available. Now, I don't know why we would look to get him in the summer when he's got a release clause. If you want him and you believe he can help, come and get him in to help now. Why are we waiting until the summer for him when he's got a release clause? That's what I don't get. I'd understand the Alexander Isak one, because let's be real, no one's got 150 million, which is what they want. Dusan Vlahovic is a guy that I really have liked over the years, and I thought would have been a good signing a few years ago. Haven't been particularly impressed with his move to Juventus, but he has been scoring goals. I think he's more of a Havertz signing. I think he's an upgrade on Havertz, but I'm not sure that his level's above what Kai Havertz brings to Arsenal. I think for me, number one, of course, is Alexander Isak. For this window, though, if I'm honest, I think the players that we should be looking at, and I don't know if you guys agree, I think he'd be a fantastic signing. Isak would be the number one that I'm looking at. But I've just got to be real with you. I don't think we can be looking at him this January. I just don't think Newcastle are going to... let's be real, we might even get him in the summer. Do you know what I mean? We might actually not. The one I'll be looking at is Victor Gyökeres. He's got a release clause. Go and release it. Go and activate it. Activate that release clause. Let him make his mind up. If he doesn't want to come and he wants to stay and we'll talk again in the summer, that's cool. At least you've shown the ambition. Start activating these release clauses, Arsenal, because there's release clauses available, yeah? A release clause of Victor Gyökeres, release clause on Osimhen, release clause on Nico Williams. Once you start activating these players' release clauses, all of a sudden, they have to make the decision. Nico Williams might say, I want to stay in Spain. Nico Williams say, look, I'm flattered, but I actually have my heart set on Barcelona or Real Madrid. Osimhen might say, look, I'm going to be looking at going to XYZ, I'm afraid. And Gyökeres might say, I'm waiting until the summer because there's a lot of clubs interested in me and I'm weighing up my options. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It is if you're Arsenal. It is if you're Arsenal. It seems. Why would we do that? Why would we not do that? You know, it's crazy. Big up to Craig. You say, why would Isak sign for Arsenal or Stoke 2.0? It's weird, isn't it, with Newcastle fans? The minute you mention Isak, they get really sensitive. It's as if they've not lost players before. It's bizarre. Look, I think he actually will stay, if I'm honest, at Arsenal, at Newcastle. But I think one day he'll leave. I don't think Newcastle were going to go to the very top. I think they're going to struggle to win leagues and titles. But I could be wrong. They're going to need a lot more if they want a title. That's for sure. They're going to need another 2 or 3 years of big spending. But they could do it. And if I'm honest with you, kind of like Newcastle, don't I? A lot of people don't like the fact I like Newcastle, but I do. So that's what's got to happen there. No other news other than Bryan and Mbuemo links as well. AFC stuff at the moment are just updating their news. The only other thing to say is Duncan Castles has suggested through Transfers Cast that Arteta went into this season in his strongest position of power ever at Arsenal, having been handed a new 3-year contract in September. That contract, I'm told, was one of the key reasons why Edu resigned as sporting director. He wasn't happy with Arteta's increasing authority at the club. Now, there's been a lot of rumours suggesting that Edu has not jumped ship because of a new offer that was better at Nottingham Forest. And I've always thought it was probably a culmination of the two. I don't think he was happy with his position at Arsenal. I don't think he was. I don't think he saw any progression. I don't think he saw that he had enough power. I don't think he saw that his role was respected. And I think Josh Kroenke has basically said, Mikel's my man, you lot have got to listen to him. Now, I understand that you've got to work in this together and listen about a direction you want to go, but actually it's about team, right? So Edu and Garlic should be looking at with Arteta at who they want to get. Not Arteta says, I want that player, go and get him for me. I think you need to be looking at things together and say, okay, we want that player, but it doesn't make sense. Why? You've already got these players. So when Arteta says, I need a goalkeeper and a left back, and they say you've already had 8 in each position, I think they should be allowed to say that is what I'm getting at. So that's where I'm at. I don't think Edu is going to be a massive loss, but I tell you what, we are going to find out very, very soon if he is going to be a loss or not. We're going to find out in this January transfer window and the summer transfer window how much power and influence Edu had. Because if things start going to shit, we know actually Edu at least got stuff done. If things start getting better, we know, oh my God, Edu was the problem. We need to get a sporting director in ASAP. And I think it needs to be somebody like Robert Alabi. I think it needs to be somebody like Skuro. I think it needs to be somebody who's done something before. Marco Nepp, Startori, all these guys that have done stuff at clubs. It doesn't even have to be at the elite level, yeah? It doesn't have to be the guy who took Madrid to Champions League finals and win trophies. It doesn't have to be someone like that. Maybe Alabi's got the experience at Sociedad. Maybe somebody at Dortmund or Benfica, well-run clubs. That's what I want, an experienced head next to Mikel Arteta to say, right, concentrate on the pitch, mate, I've got this. That's what needs to happen. And that's what I really, really want to happen. So this is what frustrates me about the fact that we've now got Edu who's left and we haven't replaced him. We've got Jason Ato in his interim position, who I don't know anything about. And him and Richard Garlick alongside Arteta have got to try and sort this January out. And what frustrates me even more is David Ornstein's tweet. And that really frustrated me yesterday. And I don't know how much of this you believe in. Obviously, The Athletic is very, very reliable, I would suggest. And David Ornstein's one that you'd go to. And he's saying, I think by and large that they're going to go with what they have got. By and large, they're going to go with what they've got. Which again will not be music to the ears of many fans who are baying for signings as Arsenal look to compete for a trophy that many feel that Arteta needs to deliver. That's basically David Ornstein saying, I think Arsenal are going to stick put with internal solutions and stick with what they've got. What? What internal solutions? There isn't any internal solutions. If you think Arsenal are ready to win a trophy right now with this squad, you're balmy. Sterling to back up Saka, Jesus to back up Havertz, Waneri to back up Erdegaard, Trossard and Martinelli both stinking out the joint on the left-hand side. Marino coming in, trying to force his way into the 8, but still can't get any first-team football regularly with it. Jorginho to back up Partey. Rice in the 8, playing out of position. No centre-back cover other than Kivior. There's no right-sided centre-back cover. Ben White we have to hope is fit, or Timber we have to hope is fit, or Tomiyasu we have to hope is fit. Right now, if Saliba went down, who would play there? Who would? Kivior? It's poor. There's not enough strength in this, depth in this squad. And that's why I didn't give it a 7 or an 8 out of 10 in the summer. I gave it a 3 or a 4, I think, at the time. And people said that's out of order. Look, Calafiori and Marino have got place in this squad. Absolutely. Sterling, I'm actually not like, I'm just shocked that we even went there. But if you get him, get someone on top of him. You know, look, we couldn't say no to Sterling. It was a no-brainer. We're going to try and get the best out of him. And we think he's better cover than Nelson. So we're going to bring him in. And up top, we've got Gyökeres on top. I would have gone, do you know what? Not too fussed by the Sterling one, but at least a bit of cover. That's cool. But no, to do nothing, to make Sterling that guy, it's a shambles. It really is. And if we do nothing in January, it will tell me all I need to know about this ownership. It will tell me all I need to know about this experience at board level. And it will tell me all I need to know about the manager. Because as a pair, as a team, they're flawed. We don't sign anybody. Trust me. We ain't winning nothing. We ain't winning nothing. Oh, we're third in the Champions League. We're second in the league. Calm down. We're still in the FA Cup. We are. We could still do the quadruple if we win 3-0 at St James's Park. But let's just be real. We know we're not going to, right? You know, Comic and Sneaker says, go and get Tyler Dibbling. I wouldn't want Tyler Dibbling, if I'm honest, because I feel like a youngster at Southampton that could one day be great is not what Arsenal need, because I don't want to one day be great. I want to be great now. That's the one I want to see it. Before we go, do me a favour, right? Put one name that you want Arsenal to sign in January. Just one name. Just give me one name in the chat that you realistically would go and get. Don't give me Mbappe or Haaland. Give me one name that you realistically want in January that you think Arsenal should go all out to get. That's what we should be doing. Look at that one player that you think, go and get him. Yeah? Whilst you're putting them names in, do me a favour. Hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure you've scanned the QR code or clicked on the link in the description for Eventbrite to sign up for This Is London Live at the Hippodrome Casino. We want to get as many of you guys there as possible. I really want to meet you all in person. And when I do meet you, please come up and tell me who you are, because I do not have a clue when I just see a name on YouTube. I get this all the time. I don't know who I am. I watch you all the time. And I'm like, thank you, but no, I only see your name, so I wouldn't know what you look like. So please do come up and meet us all. You'll meet myself, all of This Is London panel. Lawless will be there. D will be there, Dom will be there, Deji will be there, Lee Judges will be there, Sophie Nicolau from Hybrid Squad will be there, and we're trying to get some special guests as well. We're going to have a special menu offer for you for food and drink, and obviously an entry fee. 24th of January. Please make sure you're over at the Hippodrome Casino, because we're all going to be there, and I would love to see you. Also, make sure that you are involved in the reality raffles. Clearly clicked on the wrong one there. 99 pence, FTM10 is the code you need for 10% off. To win a match day experience. If you want to come to the Emirates, get yourself in for a raffle ticket prize. Make sure you use the code FTM10 because you get 10% off of the raffle ticket prize as well. I know they're only 99p, but you might as well not pay 99p. You might as well pay 89p, right? So that's the way I see it. So let's get you guys involved in that. And if you do win, let me know and let us know whereabouts you want to meet us up. So, because that would be good. Right, let's go through some of these names, shall we? You're all smashing them into the chat at the moment. Big up to all of you. I hope you're all hitting the like button. Alex Baena is a really good shout, I must say. I think it's an excellent shout. Nico Williams, Nico Rashford. Oh, dear, Craig. Please, you're a Newcastle fan. I know why you want us to get Rashford. Gyökeres is another guy. Mum agrees with me. Gyökeres is absolutely the guy. Kudus is one that we should be getting. I don't know if he means Thierry Henry or if he means Rico Henry. I don't know who he means there, but Henry is coming up. Kolo Muani is a shout, actually, that a lot of people are talking about. I'm not for me, but a lot of people are saying he's available. Marmoush, who I think would be a great signing. Big up to you, Elliot. Osimhen, Nico, Osimhen. Cunha looks like he might be staying at Wolves and signing a new deal. Morgan Gibbs-White is a great shout, by the way. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. Kolo Muani. Don't know who this is. Don't know who this is, Martin. Let me know who he plays for. I don't know who that is. Osimhen, Gyökeres, Bryan Mbuemo, Dovbyk, Barry wants us to sign Danny Ings off him. No thanks, Barry. You keep him there, my friend. Dovbik, Mbuemo, Cunha, and Kunku, who would be available. That I just don't want to go there because it's Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Isak, I'd love that, but it's not going to happen in January. Gyökeres is my number one. Who else have we got? Nico Moosh. That means he wants Nico Williams and Marmoush, I guess. Do you know what? So would I. That would be fantastic to get both of them. It really would. A new left back, people are saying. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, that people want a new left back? It really is quite mad. Osimhen and Isak in the summer. Wow, I don't think we're going to get both of them by any means. Lee Kang in. That is a definite rumour from PSG. So, yeah, interesting. Suja said he'd go and get Simon Rolfs from Leverkusen. Now, of course, that is the sporting director. That is not the striker. Simon Rolfs has done very, very well over at Bayer Leverkusen and actually has experience of working with a younger manager in Xabi Alonso and has done very well in terms of the recruitment and structure at Bayer Leverkusen, which has gone on to lead them to trophies and success. So I actually think it would actually be a really good sign in that. Some people are saying they want Vlahovic. Other people are saying Liam Delap. Other people are saying Jimenez from Feyenoord. Could be very interesting January transfer window. So we'll have to see where we go from here. Big up to every single one of you. We are out of here. Please make sure you hit the like and you've hit subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal.